as I was sitting there, I was just going through the journey that has taken me to get where I am. I don't count myself amongst the top rich people. I don't at all. But I want to, from the questions that were going round, I thought it would be very, very necessary for me to talk about something called the paradigm shift. I was invited here to talk about techpreneurship, but I realized this was not a meeting of IT people. How many IT people do we have here? How many? Good. So I'll try to make it more of a general talk. Everything that we do in life is dictated by paradigms. And paradigms are these mind patterns that dictate how we think out, how we do things, how we reason out, how we make decisions. You see, if someone walks into a corporate office with dreadlocks, someone might think they are not serious because their paradigms shows them, or what they've learned is that someone with dreadlock is someone who does some things that are not very responsible. And I realized that in my journey in the technology world, what really affected my growth was paradigms. You see, when someone asks about music distribution, about copyright, about all these things, I try to imagine where I was when I was running a product called Bonyeza for Romtech. And we did great distributions of music. And I'll talk about a few challenges in the music industry, in the technology industry, because I know there are people who here are pursuing art and stuff like that. And paradigms dictate how you approach things. The biggest challenge that you find in the business world, or in the marketplace as we call it, is that your paradigms will affect how you start your business, how you start your product, how you start your career, and how you will end it. If you want to do something in the art industry or in the music industry, I've found a great mistake amongst the artists, which is you want to do everything. I think Naiboy mentioned that. You want to be the artist, the music manager, the legal, the finance, the accountant. You want to be the one who is doing PR and everything. And that has really affected the number of successful music artists we have in this country, because your specialty is in your talent. So let the lawyers do their work, which is copyright agreements and that kind of stuff. Focus on what you do best. That is always my advice. In my journey, I started by first doing IT at Egerton University. Then, because I was a very smart student in high school, I was called by the Joint Admission Board to pursue law. And I did law for 3 years. And I deferred, because I realized my calling was in technology. So by the time I was coming back to technology, I was starting again at square one, where I left at Egerton. And that really affected me, because when I started now the IT business, I was trying to do everything. I was the coder, I was the accountant, I was the lawyer who was doing the agreements, I was the one who was doing marketing, and I realized that because I was spreading my tentacles so wide, I was not focusing on what I was good at. And 5 years into the career, I realized that actually technology was not my thing. My biggest strength was on business development. So, for most companies that I've worked for, I've done business development, product design and architecture, and setting up systems. So I don't do actual programming or coding. And the reason as to why I was talking about paradigms and the need for paradigm shift is because unless you change your way of thinking and looking at things, you learn through experience, which is a very painful experience. And businessmen in the music industry, the biggest challenge is that and because they know your talent and what you do best is in music, they know you don't go through your contracts. So I found artists who had actually sold their souls to companies because you didn't know what revenue shares mean. You didn't know whether you are sharing revenue on your net and what that meant. So you just signed a contract. But you'd have saved yourself if you walked in there with a lawyer. And so the next question is, where do I get money to pay the lawyer? You see, the biggest challenge with students is that the systems that we have been brought up with are not ones to bring out solutions in schools. They're ones that show us where we go find out these solutions. So, if you know of a law friend who is in that year, most likely they've covered commercial law and they can help you in that. Work with them. When you're signing that contract, they'll help you. In the technology world, it's the same thing. Techpreneurship is a very interesting field because in the next few years, with the introduction of Internet of Things, everything will be controlled by technology one way or the other. The problem is that right now, everybody's trying to come up with a fintech solution. Fintech solutions are financial technology solutions like M-Pesa. So because M-Pesa is making money, now everybody is thinking around M-Pesa, around Facebook, around social networks, around WhatsApp and stuff like that. The problem with that kind of approach is that by the time you understand what we call a bell curve, you'll have invented your own fintech solution that is out of the curve. A bell curve is a process that an industry goes through and a successful solution has to go through. Whether you're in the music business or in the technology business, everything that you do must start with a process. And unless you think about what you want to achieve and you see it in your mind, it's almost impossible for you to achieve it. I'll give you a good example. Let's take a big product like M-Pesa. Has anyone ever written a proposal to Safaricom here with an idea? Anyone? Or to a company, you wrote to them an idea, you wanted funding, or you're approaching a venture capitalist. Thank you. You realize one thing, and maybe this is something that you'll come to learn. Wherever you're looking for capital for your business, from a venture capitalist or funding from someone, most proposals are not shut down because they were not worth it. They are shut down because they are at a stage we call ideas. And one thing I realized is no one who funds ideas. Let nobody ever lie to you. Nobody funds ideas. People invest in products and in services and in business, which means you must have moved your business from an idea stage to a stage whereby you are asking for funding and for capital to propel. Not an idea that you are still thinking, I have this great idea that I can make water.
If you've done your degree at the campus, which is the ideal place to learn on finally? Can you be self-employed or can you look for a job in a company or in an IT company? So which is the ideal place to learn on finally?
To learn?
Or finally, to learn on after you finish campus. Is it ideal to be self-employed or to look for a job?
Okay, let me tell you. First, if you're an IT student, by the time you're clearing your 4th year, you should have your own product. Let me tell you the truth. Whether you'd be employed or not, because whatever you've learned in 4 years should have started something in you, that you saw a problem somewhere in the society and you developed a solution for it. And that's why every time, in every institution, after 4 years, you are asked to do a project. It's not just to help you pass. You should come out with a solution out of that. If you look at universities like Cambridge, universities like Harvard, and the universities that brought up protocols like the TCP protocol that brought up the internet. So I always ask, as a 4-year student, what solution have you come up for the society, in the society? I'm sure in the course of your 4 years you identified something that you didn't see it right in the IT industry and you came up with a solution. Why am I saying this? Employment should not solve your problems. Employment should just give you a foundation through which you should establish your own businesses. That's my belief. Unless you want to pursue a career out of it, and in an industry that you cannot start your own business, okay? But to answer your question, one of the best ways to learn, I always say start your internship when you're in campus, okay? During your long holidays, look for companies that can always take you on an paid internship. Maybe after 4 years you can demand for an allowance, but just get oriented in the industry. You realize that about 60% of the things you're learning in campus are irrelevant. So you need a hands-on experience in a company, in the industry, to know where we are at. Okay?
Guys, what kind of a company when you're writing?
The key components of a proposal that can catch the eye of an investor. That's a very good question. Let me tell you, the first one is what I call the blank of blank. Blank of blank, it's something that I read once. Every venture capitalist, the only thing they look for a proposal is what we call a blank of blank. A blank of blank is your solution or your business. How can you relate it to another successful product or business in the industry? A good example that I always put in my proposals is to say, I'm developing a solution that will be the Facebook of the medicine industry. If your solution has not gone to a level where you think it will be the best of the best in an industry, and with a comparison in another industry, that would catch the eye of a venture capitalist. And I'm saying that because I've sat in boards, and I sit in boards of many companies where we evaluate some of these proposals. Then the next thing is that your financial projections, how realistic are they? And this is why I told you, I've found that most IT guys are also not very good in accounting stuff. So you'll give us a financial projection with a cash flow analysis that does not make sense. Okay? Then I always find products and ideas that are not matured, ready for investment. So you'll find someone is saying, I have an idea to develop a software, and this software will be helping the county government to do this. First, how unique is it? Number two, what do you have any case study around it? So one of the best ways to come up with convincing ideas is always to back up your proposals with case studies. Say, in Kenya there's a need and you identify the problem, and there's a case study of a similar solution in India and how much it's making and how it's solving those problems. So, okay, it's a very lengthy process on proposal writing, but I'll just try to give you the main highlights. Let me just take one more question from
Safaricom. And how do you predict, like most predictions in the stock market, when you try to invest in a company that is doing well, most times it doesn't go like it was predicted, and sometimes there are like fluctuations. So how do you do it?
Okay, first, I'm not a shareholder in Safaricom. I'm just a director at Silicon and also a shareholder there. But just to answer your question, you've asked a question about stock markets. Stock market is a different, let me call it, field of its own. And it has its own rules, it has its own regulations. But let me just speak about formation of companies, if I'm allowed. When you're forming a company, there's something we call shares distribution. So shares distribution is given based on what input you're bringing in the company. That's what dictates whether you're giving you 30% or 20% of the shareholding. How much value are you bringing in the company? And that value is always quantified. Okay? And these shares, the main purpose of shares is also it dictates how much you're supposed to input, how much you're supposed to take out, because you also pay your dividends based on shareholding, but also on your votes. How you vote in decisions in a company is based on shareholding sometimes. So you'll find if you own 50% of a company, you can make the decisions alone without the consulting the others. But also if you own 30%, in some, depends with the structure you've agreed with your partners. It can also be one person, one vote, or you vote according to the shares you have in the company. With regard to stock market, it affects something we call public limited companies. There's a difference between private limited companies, public limited companies, companies limited by guarantees. So it's not a topic that I think I can cover end to